ready for the Kingz? The Kingz are here.
You think the bitches are great because you're fucking seasonal, nigga? You can't be seasonal. Niggas got this shit's 24 hours a day.
Kingz. You're listening to the Kingz Podcast with your hosts, Karizmatik, Irish O'Neal, and Ani Moush.
Well, welcome back to part 2 of the of Kingz Podcast Origin Edition of Miss Ani Moush. So we're gonna begin where we left off, and I guess we were right at the beginning, right before your
second big relationship. Yeah, I would say probably the second one that like shaped me the most. So I had like a couple other boyfriends like after those one or two. And then around that same time where we ended the last podcast, is probably when I met or was like introduced to someone like the next like person who I thought I was gonna like be with like for like the rest of my life. And that was like a on and off thing for like 5 years. I definitely gave up way more during that time, and I knew that.
How so? What sort of things?
I was just like more willing to please than what I was getting in return.
How so?
So you were.
I'll wait for you both to be done with your phones before I continue.
I'm listening.
I know. I just like you're asking me how so, but like I just told you.
No, you didn't, or I wouldn't have asked how so.
Okay. So like I was willing to do more than he was. I was willing to compensate and go like the extra mile or like do more to accommodate him in like any situation.
So how wasn't the second house so still like how? What type of situation?
Like
Examples.
for instance,
Give me tangible things I can.
Like everything was on his time. It was never like my time wasn't considered.
That's a good example.
Like it was always what like his family wanted to do, never about my family. It was always about like we were definitely not sexually compatible like at all. Like the first time we dated, he hadn't had sex yet. And like I dated him for like 2 years at that point.
Wow.
And it was like I was willing.
You'd
I was
already
monogamous.
fucked too, so.
Yeah, I had already fucked. Like I was like, oh, this is the person. I was like, I was like, well, a little bit, and there was like a little bit of like, like Armenian guilt or whatever. Like it was like a lot of religious
what does that
shit.
mean?
It was just
Isn't
a lot
there an
of
Armenian
like
obligation to procreate if there's fucking
right, but
Did
it's
y'all
like
have slaves?
it's like you don't fuck until marriage, and it's like I don't do that, and he knew that. Like we like. He knew that off the bat about me. Like I was very honest about the way that I am.
Why wait that long to be disappointed?
Like the first time we hooked up ever, I asked him if he had a condom, and he laughed and said no. And in my mind, that was like, oh, this guy fucks. Like you know what I mean? He's out of condoms. Like oh okay. Out of them. Whatever. And I was like okay yeah we'll wait. And then like later I like found out like no, he just doesn't fuck. Yep. And like that's why. But I was like so infatuated with him as a person.
If I hadn't fucked yet and the girl was like finally like, do you have a condom? I'd be like, oh, hey, I got one out of my car. Hang on one sec. And then I would sprint full fucking tilt to the closest 7-Eleven. I don't care if it's 10 miles away. I'm
Get back. I parked really far up the block. You know, like really far.
I don't know, like. But like I wasn't just like, doing that with anyone. Like I was like interested in this person too. Like there was like an added layer to that. And I don't know, I just like took forever. And then whatever, we broke up. Some time went by. That bullshit in the last thing that I said happened. And then I started going to therapy, and like long story short, a year later, like we kind of ended up dating. And I had felt like a lot of guilt about like past relationships, like as I started going to therapy, and it wasn't anything that I was getting from my therapist. It's just like as I was working through things and able to look back and see where I was like wrong or where maybe I let my anxiety take over, I was like, I can't like live with myself without talking to like 1 or 2 or 3 people where I really felt like I took that out on them, and he was one of them. And like thankfully when I told him that again, he didn't feel like I did that at all, which I felt like was kind of a lie, but looking back, but that kind of like sparked that amongst a couple of other things sparked us to like talk again, and then we ended up dating again. And it just seemed like all the reasons why we broke up in the first time, the stars aligned and we were able to date like again, and it was gonna work. And then he was dishonest with me about a lot of things, and I was like, for instance, I don't want to like out anyone, but whatever. It's my fucking origin episode. Say their name. Yeah, I mean, like, so for instance, I knew from the jump, like from the beginning when we first started talking, that he wanted to go to med school. And that has a lot of layers. And a lot of my friends were in the same process. So, like, I understood the process. I understood the stress. That's why I was willing to, like, be more accommodating and, like, just be supportive. And that's just the type of person that I feel like I am anyways. But that was his number one. And I got that. And I knew that if, like, he got accepted to one of the 30 schools that he applied to, that was a huge chance that we might be long distance and whatever. Long story short, he couldn't handle, he felt like having a relationship and going through this process the first time. That's essentially amongst probably a couple of other things that I don't think he was honest with me about why we broke up the first time. When we got back together, he had already been accepted to a college in Boston, closer to me, and like things were just aligning like the way that we would have wanted them to. And like things were getting better, and I felt like I could be more honest with him because of where I was coming from when we first started talking again. And I told him I did not want to be in a relationship until he started med school that summer, because I felt like I don't want to get into something and then you think like, I can do this, and then you get overwhelmed. And what happens last time happens again. And I should have just stuck to that. And honestly, I think it was like between a month or 2 where I really just got caught up, but where he wasn't being honest, and he said that it would be fine and it wasn't. We ended up breaking up. So... And, like, he tried to tell me it's because he just didn't have feelings for me anymore, and I knew that that was dishonest. Like, I knew that he was more emotional about the breakup just because we have mutual friends than I was. Because in that moment when he was breaking up with me and the reasons that he was giving me, I was like, I don't want to fucking be with anybody that doesn't want to be with me. Go fuck yourself. I'm done with your bullshit. I've put up with it for too many years, and I'm not allowing this to let me like they dictate my life anymore. Like, I was willing to do a lot of things, and I think that's where I have like a huge downfall a lot of the times. I'm more willing to like go the extra distance for someone else, and it's hard for me to think of like, how could someone else not do that in return if you feel the same way about them? But like, that's just the way my personality is.
Very true. I see a lot of people that struggle with that, but like, not everybody operates on the same wavelength, and the sooner people realize that, the better for them. You know what I mean? Yeah,
and I mean, like, I think truthfully, like, comedy helped me a lot with that. That was actually like something that I turned to, like, when after that breakup was comedy. To like, I couldn't sleep without it.
Good decision.
It was just, yeah. I mean, like, there was nothing else I could do. I was just like, oh, I'm sad, I need to laugh. You know, it was just like A plus B equals C. So I should do this. And so I just, you know, went to like my favorite comedians as just like a resource for that. And for a really long time, I had wanted to write a book about like a lot of experiences I went through in different relationships, because I just felt like they were just so fucking random, and like I've learned things from them that I wanted to share, but every time I went to go write it down, like it just didn't come out the same way. So I found that like if I could do that, I could do that with comedy, Like, because no matter what, whenever I was telling my friends the situation, it's just kind of like, he'll never believe what fucking happened this time. You know what I mean? And I just tried to make light of it. And so I think, like, taking that on stage, even if it's not that good, like, it was a good way for me to just let that shit go, you know? I don't know.
No, I think that's very
It helped me with, like, relationships, too, because you have to be fully honest when you're a fucking comic, you know?
Yeah, you have to be honest and you got to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. People can tell when you're not being vulnerable.
Well, I was called out so much for that. And, like, I was called out a bunch, like, this isn't your fucking therapy session. Don't bring that to the stage. That's not what this is for. And, like, I had to hear that to be like, oh, I need to, like, check my shit.
Well, it can be as long as you make it funny.
Yeah, but I wasn't funny about it.
Yeah.
And, like, I needed to be checked on that.
Yeah.
And I'm happy that there were some people that were, like, honest with me, at least in those parts of, like, my life, where they were like, you need to check yourself. And it's not just comics. It was, like, my friends and shit, too, you know? And looking back, I'm grateful for that.
So it seems like, here's a question. It seems like at this point, you keep running into an instance of dishonesty and, like, guys cheating on you and stuff like that. Was there ever, like, a thing that you felt like maybe there's something I'm doing, not to, like, blame you or anything, but, like,
No,
was
for
there
sure.
something that you were like, is something that came to your mind, like, well, maybe I didn't do
I
this
have a
enough,
type?
or
Yeah.
do you think, like, it really was a lot of, like, they...
No, I
like,
remember
like-
the instance. I
like,
could tell
they
you.
want side, but, like, what? Yeah, right.
Well, I mean, like, at the time, I would say probably from, like, end of high school until, you know, around that time, you know, that relationship, I kind of just, like, was able to separate myself from hookup and relationship and friendship and whatever, and can do one act without the other. I've never had a problem with that. I think that there were a couple points where I was more frivolous, I guess, with men, but, like, I wasn't ever expecting a relationship from them. And like I said that up front, I think a lot of the times where it went quote unquote wrong, or like things didn't kind of work out, is that the guy wasn't honest with, like, what his intentions were. Like, if you just want it and done, dude, that's cool. Just tell me so I know.
So you think,
and I can proceed from there.
So you think a lot of it was guys sort of like, I want to fuck you, but the only way in their mind they go, the only way I can fuck you is if we're dating. So they did the path to date you so that they could fuck you, and then after they fuck you, they really only wanted
I
to fuck.
think there was that. I think there were some guys who, like, we fucked and then they felt like obligated to, like, take me out, which is nice, and like in this day and age that's kind of, like, rare, I guess. But I mean, I don't want no pity date. You know, don't waste my time. If you're interested in me, that's cool. But, like, don't just, like, take me out because you have some kind of, like, religious guilt or something because we fucked and, like, you feel some type of way about it or whatever.
Yeah, no,
You know what I mean? Like,
sometimes
I
it's
don't need that. I'm cool. Like, just let me know.
You've never just wanted breakfast after a hookup. No,
Yeah.
It's not even that. Like, I
you
can
want to go get some breakfast? Like, that's not even like I want to just. Chill.
I
Like,
can
you wanna
separate
go
that.
breakfast?
In fact, it almost makes me feel better because I'm like, you've been inside me, dude. I know you think I'm attractive. Like,
Yeah.
I can walk around like that, you know? And it's fine. Like, I'm not offended by it. I can be friends with people's girlfriends. I can be friends with people's exes. I've done it plenty of times. But, like, the one thing...
In that, though,
The one thing that I care about is respect. That's all I care about. So, like, if we're gonna do this or that, that's fine. Just be a fucking respectful person.
Yeah.
You know, be honest with me. Be upfront. And, like, I can't stand. There's so many times you think you're getting that because it seems genuine, and then it's like not even like you weren't even trying to push anything. You were just going with what they were giving you, and they're like, "Nah, I didn't want that shit." Like, well, then why'd you tell me that? Like, don't. I'm just going with what you told me. I'm trying to let you lead.
It's wild. It's like, you know, we always watch every now and then the Joey Diaz does those famous, especially on 4th of July, he does like, he puts on the national anthem, and he just does like this huge motivational rant. It's like the funniest shit ever. But at one point, he says in one of them, and this line always stuck with me, he's like, he was saying, he's like, we live in America. He's like, fuck 9/11. That shit'll never happen again. You don't have to live in fear. And then he said, the only terrorist that exists is the fear in your heart. And it's like, it's kind of like that thing where it's just like, you know, all these people lie because they're so fucking afraid of losing, and it's such a it's
You want to know something true about that?
And even more full circle, you're talking about like earlier you're talking about asking questions and like not being afraid to ask questions. It's like it's literally the same thing. It's like you only learn if you ask questions. Like you don't get anything from trying to look smart by not asking questions. That's how you get fucking.
That's how I understood what the right and wrong way to approach an open relationship is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean by asking questions and not judging. It's very, very easy to judge something that you don't understand. Very easy.
Like I've had white women try and tell me that I'm racist for asking a person what type of Asian are you. Well, how else do you ask that fucking question? I don't understand.
Dude, like
what's your
everyone of
ethnicity?
every race looks kind of the same.
I
Like,
can
you know what I mean?
kind of tell what
People
you are.
know what
put a
you
finger
mean.
kinda on it. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Like there's the figures in each race that like stick out that have like maybe defining facial features. Or something, where you go like, oh, I can kind of like because there's certain where you go like I can kind of pick out a Japanese person from like other Asians, so to speak.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's also just like all white people kind of look the same. All black people kind of look the same. Like if you look at the general, like you can kind of pick, but it's like I don't really think that's inherently racist.
It's called generalizing.
If anything, you're
it's
going,
fine.
hey, can you tell me what you are so that I can make sure I don't be racist?
Yeah, that's like when I ask people to pronounce their name because I know mine gets pronounced
Tell me what you are
a
so I can
ton.
be respectful.
Yeah, it's
Right.
hilarious. So wait, you think that we can only see these DNA similarities through a microscope?
It's a really like ignorant way to like go about walking around life. You know what I mean? Like, why be? I don't know. But okay, to I guess get back to the point. Like up until this point, men were essentially for the most part dishonest with me, and like
And
even
do you have any idea like why that was? Maybe just they're young and they just didn't know how to be honest.
I think that I would attribute it
I mean, it's their
mostly
fault,
to that.
obviously, but
Yeah, I would attribute most of it to that. I think I also at
You
the
wanna know the
time
real
gave
reason?
too many chances.
No, you want to know the real reason?
Why?
It's simpler than that. You're too pretty.
Yeah,
That's
but
the
I
fucking
could have
reason.
left. You know what I
But
mean?
pretty girl syndrome is a thing. Like a lot of people are afraid
Yeah.
to just like essentially like fuck you to a pretty girl. And like
I know, but-
Jay had a funny bit on stage once too, where he was roasting this really hot chick in the crowd, and there was sort of like you could tell there was this tone of like, how could you say that? She's so fucking hot. And he goes, oh, I know she's not gonna fuck me, so it's fine. I'll say whatever I want to. her."
Oh, you
fuck
want to
yeah.
know?
And it's like now I bet she wants to fuck him.
I've told this story before, and it makes me seem like a hoe. But like, I honestly, I don't care.
What
Like,
does the whole look like?
like you
What does
just,
the whole look like?
just the people who understand will understand. Shut up. The first time I ever
That's
did
a
comedy,
compliment. I like hoes.
is now with my best friend's now fiance. I made him come with me and do it with me. He was my opener, I always say. So I did it, and I was like, I don't want anybody to come. I don't even want my best friend to
That's
come.
selfish.
Like, no, I just didn't. Shut up. I just didn't
I'm on your
want.
side.
I just didn't want any. It's not anyone else's business.
How
You
many
know
people
what I
have
mean?
you seen me invite?
Think about what was said.
Come.
Oh.
Yeah.
I don't want anyone to come. I don't
That's
want
where
my
you
best
put a
friend to
drop
come.
in, sir.
You know what I'm saying? Like you couldn't hit up with them. So I'm like,
Anyways.
oh, it's a joke.
Yeah, I told you to pay the fuck attention. Anyways,
Yeah, Mr. Not Common.
so long story short, he invited one of his friends who actually used to live like right around the corner, and he was in the crowd. I knew of him, but like I didn't know him. But at Thunder Bar,
I think
there's
I watched this
questions.
interaction
That's so
happen.
medieval.
Definitely
I
did.
knew of him.
But did he know of thee?
I had heard of his.
So you do questions at the end,
Yeah.
right? So I took questions as my first time. That was a fucking mistake, but whatever. He raised his hand, and I was like, okay, in my mind, it's better to answer a question from someone you kind of know, because it'll be probably funny, rather than someone who you just rolling the dice with. You know what I mean?
Fuck it.
So I called on
Dance of
him,
the devil. You might as
and
well
his
lead.
question was, can I have your number?
Nice. Nice.
And like,
Big dicking in front of the whole room. I
And-
like it.
and I was just like, can you wait until I sit down?
And wait, and how did he say it? Was it smooth? It wasn't. Like,
Oh, yeah.
Right. Like, cause if he was like, can I?
I like fucked him later that day. Okay, that's how smooth it was.
Excuse me, man. Can I?
See, had she been the comic she is now, she probably would have hit him with some sauce too. You know what I'm saying?
Oh no, I think
She
I
would've,
did.
like, you know?
But then I moved on, and then naturally the next person, of course, I called on was Tom, and he asked the same question. And that was fucking the genesis of Tom. But anyways.
Nice.
So they both got your number and both fucked you from that one instance.
But on
they both
way
got your
different
number and
occasions
Tom's
at
a
way
hack.
different timelines
I know.
on way separate quantities of time.
I'm just saying they had the same origin date.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. But that was also my intro to comedy. I'm like, okay, cool. If that's my reaction, fuck it, I'm coming back. Like, you know what I mean?
I got 2 dick for the price of 1 dick.
I know.
No,
I was like, what? I wasn't even looking for that. I was just like,
I
whatever.
got a bunch of people to pay attention to me,
But-
and I get 2 dick. Wow.
But the problem is that you can't have that confidence when you're fucking open micer only doing it a couple times, because then when you bomb and you bomb about like sex related stuff, ooh, is it gonna hurt? It hurts.
You're telling me?
Yeah.
You're telling me?
Dude, yeah.
All I do is sex related shit. Like
I know, but
so
like
all
as
my
a woman,
bombs are sex related bombs.
imagine
I've never told a
being on
sexual joke
stage.
ever.
Imagine being behind a mic, dude, with a basement, an Alston basement full of comics and bombing about sex stuff. You can't bomb about sex stuff. You know what I mean?
Imagine
To be
being the
fair.
only black comic in a room full of white people bombing about sex stuff.
Fair.
That's
and
fair.
and added
feels.
layer on both of yours, Ruddy. It's like you're like imagine bombing in front of a room of quote unquote comics. It's like local Boston comics. I don't exactly and no. My
No,
bi-
but
my,
at
wait,
the
wait,
time,
but my
dude.
bias removed. That I don't exactly attach them to like they fuck.
No.
Like
Neither do I, but
If they-
that's my point. But that's my point is that like, oh, they don't fuck and they don't even find this funny.
yeah.
And
Well,
that's
they don't find
that
it funny
was a bomb to
because
me.
They don't
th-
fuck.
no, that's what I'm saying because they can't relate to it. They don't. find it
Maybe.
funny.
I mean that maybe is what that was.
like
but
if he tells a goofy story
I
about
know
eating
that
ass,
I tripped up on a couple
you-
of those jokes.
Like if he tells a story about eating ass, if you haven't eaten ass, you can laugh at least the shock value of him saying eating ass. But
Yeah.
but there's an added layer if he starts describing some stuff that like I by nature of eating ass, I'm gonna find it. There's a deeper level of funny.
no,
there.
I know.
So I'm saying like your stuff, you know, it probably wasn't funny just because you were new, but at the same time, it's like they were never gonna find it funny because they don't fuck.
Maybe. I don't know. I've still bombed a ton more after that, so it
Sure,
doesn't matter.
sure.
But
And you
I
still
mean,
will forever. but-
yeah, exactly, and that's how I know I'm growing.
Like when
but
you
whatever.
start eating ass and you just watch their body curl up,
Yeah.
and it's like,
When
are
the
you
butt-
looking for me to do it more?
when it puckers at you,
it starts winking. It's like,
and you're like, "Do you want a treat?" Like,
are you trying to catch me? Are you trying to catch me? You trying to catch me?
or it's like my
Anyways.
favorite meme is it's like I can't remember. It's like if it shows like a chick getting eaten out or something, and then it's like as if she like farts or something, and then in the next panel it's just him like whispering to the butthole. It's like, "Shh, you're next." I knew he'd love that. Because and you know he relates to that because I'm sure
You gotta let me breathe out first.
I bet a chick's farted before while he's been going down on him, and he's had to go like, "Aw," and then just fucking shoot right through it.
I've had an ass argue with me while I was eating it. like, hey, are you serious? And like that didn't stop me. A little spicy, but
Why
that
have
didn't
you
stop
never
me.
said I've had an ass argue with you on stage? Are you psychotic? Write that down.
I told
Timestamp.
you I've gotten funnier. I've gotten a lot
Wow.
funnier.
Wow. Anyways, I don't know. I think up until that point also, to your point, I probably didn't feel like I was being led in any of my relationships, just to like tie it back to like
Yeah.
our principles and shit. But
Well, and that's why it's you know, I mean, it's not your fault also at this point too, because it's like all guys pretty much like coming up, they do this shit where they just fucking they'll say whatever because it's such a, especially when you hit high school, there's such a like incessant need, like, you know, we've talked about before, like how guys have this like, you know, divine sense of like.
yeah.
Well, divine sense is the wrong way to put it, but you just have a nagging need for frivolous pussy.
Yeah.
It's the same thing, the feeling when you first discover pussy, where especially once you get it for the first time, you're just like, I would cut off my left nut so that I could have this at any moment. Like that's how scary of a power that pussy has over you at first.
You don't know when to walk away when you're that age.
That's what I'm saying. So a guy will just like say whatever and be like, no, like I love you, like. I
Right.
want to, like, we're going to do all this crazy shit.
And
really,
I
he's
was
just
like-
he's really, like, happy.
Here's
He's
the
like,
thing.
He's like pussy now.
In my like
Pussy now?
in like the white community, I wasn't looked at much different, but in the Armenian or like foreign community, there was like a fucking red A on me all the time. Like, I don't know. There was just like,
Nice.
no, not all the time. I mean, like just like a little bit of like not a reputation. That's even the wrong word. Like, I don't know. Just like Ani beats to her own drum kind of shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that immediately puts a target on your
Oh,
back.
yeah, you would have been an easy mark in high school.
Well, like, and then after that, I kind of like I was more like ostracized because like I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna go with these other people that kind of accept me for who I am. I'm not gonna fucks with people who like just don't fucks with me. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I know all of you are like this behind closed doors.
Did you guys all have like a friend group shift like that once you hit high school?
What do you mean?
Like, did you have like a
like
I had a very
college.
I had a very distinct friend group from like, I would say, I moved to like Connecticut in like 3rd grade, and I would say like from then until like halfway through freshman year of high school, I had like pretty much the same group. Like there was this group of table that I had like that Ford was at and stuff like that, and then freshman year, they just kind of all started being shitty and not like necessarily to me. They were just kind of like fucking boring and like they just, it wasn't the same vibe
They just
anymore.
didn't have the same interests
you're from the
anymore, and it's
suburbs, right?
fine.
Because I feel like
Yeah.
that's mostly a suburb thing. Because in the city you get jumbled up. So like if
That's
you're
fair.
in the city like Boston,
You have
like your
constant
elementary
contact, yeah.
Well, you not constant contact. Like elementary school, you'll have like elementary school will be in your immediate borough, right? And then by the time you get to
Our high school they combined 2 middle schools.
So it depends on where the lines break up. So either you're getting split up from your friends, or you guys are going to the next grades together. You know what I'm saying?
And
So it's
well,
literally
and
a
we
hard-
were always
it's a little
together.
hard divide.
We were always together, and like at our lunch period, we had like this hour-long thing called like X Block, and you could just eat and do whatever. You could walk around the school, go to the gym, shoot hoops. It was awesome. But I just remember like halfway through the year, I just kind of was like, and then I gravitated over to this group that was like Dirty Mike and all of them, and they were all from the other like middle school.
Exactly,
stuff.
yeah.
But I it was more just like they still had that like. It was almost like a passing of the torch. There was always like you know how comics just like fucking with each other and like pranks and like just that fucking like the whole thing is like at any moment you're like it was like that feeling of like at any moment you had to, maybe this is a white guy thing, but you had to like keep your like one hand over your nuts because you was like a fear like someone might pop you in the nuts, like just that fucking like, and then everyone laughed.
I hung out with dudes.
No,
like
that is
I
a white guy
fucking know.
thing, Because
you'll get fucked up if you do that.
I literally
I
have
would
a
never
joke
nut
about
shove
that
him.
on stage. You would get fucked up. Like you don't do that shit.
Yeah, I would never feel comfortable.
No.
I'd be like.
As an African, that's not acceptable. As a black man, that's not acceptable. I don't.
I think it's just in general.
You get the vibe of at least just like when you're hanging out with like your good friends and stuff, and you're just like roasting each other and like fucking with. There's just a vibe of like someone's getting fucked with at any moment. And
we
it's
talk down to each other. That's what black
Of
people
course.
do.
yeah.
Everybody
it's
does
that
that.
same
Talk
vibe.
shit.
You're just
Yeah.
fucking with each other,
And
whatever.
so like, but there was just like, and I, for whatever reason, I just shifted sort of friend groups like halfway through the year. So you had like a similar thing.
Yeah, I mean for sure, and I mean a lot of like every single friend group has been like a huge, massive amounts of guys too. So I think like in general, I've just like always kind of understood how guys.
Was it because you have a lot of guy cousins and stuff? Like
Yeah,
that
I have
growing up,
tons
so-
of guy cousins, and like I grew up with boys, and
You want to know why it ended up being mostly guys?
Why?
Once you hang out with guys, girls don't really like hanging around because they think you're sleeping with all the guys. So they kind of
Yeah,
back off a
they're
little bit, so that you're
intimidated for
only
whatever
left.
reason, and then when they get to know you, it's like, okay, I was being a goofy bitch.
Yeah.
Like, okay,
So you're really only left with guys.
yeah.
Yeah. So yeah.
I don't know, but like, that's not to say that I don't think that all those guys at one point wanted to fuck me. Like,
Most of them sure did.
you know what I mean? Like, I'm not gonna be ignorant to that fact,
Sure.
but like,
There are
I
some
know
that
that
accept
none of
defeat.
them would cross the line like that if I didn't want it to be. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like those instances where that happened, it was like, I mean, it had happened like before. There was something leading up to it, and like some bizarre thing happened. You know what I mean? Like, I can't really blame anything else. You know?
Yeah.
So I don't know, but I forget where we are in the timeline.
Well, in the timeline, this was your second major relationship. So
Yeah.
how many major relationships have you had in total?
She said she had the one, and then she had a couple like
I had a
small
couple
ones,
in
yeah.
between that were
what-
kind of
what's a
like
couple,
long,
2 or 3.
2 or 3, and I mean, I would say I had like sort of situationships too,
Entanglements?
entanglements. like someone who like I know for sure because we have both acknowledged now like we are friends and like whatever, and like I'm not gonna be ignorant. Like I took his virginity, like whatever. Like, but we have been friends for like almost 2 decades. You know what I mean? Like there's like a different relationship there. So like there's different entanglements where like I think if it was like also we're cross country, so like there was a whole nother layer of that where like neither one of us was gonna like do whatever. But I mean that was over the course of like many years in between relationships and different things like that too. But now,
that's the thing.
Now he's my boy. Well, he's always been like my boy, but like he's my boy. You know what I mean?
Now he's home slice.
I feel like everyone
always
has
has
like
been.
1 or 2 people that like they could that are just like always maybe options like throughout your life. Like whether like if there was someone you say you fucked in like your 20s.
For sure, I thought
that,
at
like,
one point I'd marry
5
him
years,
too.
10 years. It's almost like a high school reunion. You're like they're always maybe in play. Like who knows?
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
unless they get married off or something. But there's always like I feel like there's always those people you just have that rapport with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, for sure. I said like probably like 1 or 2 of those.
So how many? That was your second major relationship. How many major relationships you had?
And you said same thing too, right? Like
I would say 2 people who like I legit called my boyfriend at this point. And then
how many in betweeners?
And then in betweeners, 1, 2.
Let's say at least a month of dating.
4. Oh, like maybe 4 or 5.
Yeah.
6.
Negligible.
6-ish.
So who was the next one that took you through your next?
Well, the next person.
Sorry. The in betweeners. Why did those fail? Same thing, just lying or
Yeah.
Okay.
Or just it wasn't gonna work for like a plethora of reasons.
Interesting.
But like there was
You're noticing
always
a pattern here, right?
There was
Lying
always
and cheating. Interesting.
There's always a pattern of like dishonesty of to whatever degree.
And
Or
you're
they
how old at this point?
well, my first relationship I was like 14 and
14.
and then when I broke
we're
up
at
with
now.
my most recent ex, I was this was 2 years ago. So
And that was
26 25. I was 25.
And that was the second most significant relationship in your life.
Okay, so you've had some experience.
And then I
in
was
this
single
line of
for
stuff,
like
right?
2 years and like just kind of like not fucking or like little like
which we've talked
fucks
about
here and
before,
there, like
is
whatever.
the wildest thing to us because it's so funny. Like a chick makes a Tinder, and I gotta imagine even if she's like on a 1 to 30, I gotta imagine even if she's like a fucking 7, I gotta imagine she's still got plenty of play in her
hell
inbox.
yeah.
I mean, it's not that.
Like,
I didn't really go on like date. I wasn't seeking
But
it.
not even dating apps. Like just the fact that you had an Instagram, and it's just like what's wild is like the idea that a single guy wasn't. You didn't get like a single request ever that was just like, hey, like,
But like
you're
I
gorgeous.
don't know. I feel like I just I don't know. I don't know if I just didn't present that way. I don't
It's-
know.
You don't
But
have
like
to present that. I'm
don't.
telling
You
you
don't.
as a man, like there's
They can
plenty.
smell vagina on you.
Yeah.
I don't know. I shot down a lot of shit for sure.
There you go.
So
That's
so
what
it
is.
was in play.
I don't know. Like
It's like Patrice always said. It's like there was
Nothing
dick,
was in
just
play.
not the right dick. The right for quote unquote what you perceive to be the right dick. There was you could have walked into a bar and been like,
Well,
who
here's
wants
the
to
thing.
fuck me?
Here-
and
here's
at
the
least
thing.
3 guys rising. hand.
when I was seeking it out, I always got it. Let's put it that way.
There you go.
Which is crazy, right? Because for guys, it's like when we don't seek it, we get it more.
Yeah. You guys can sense the thirst, and then all of a sudden, in those moments, you don't want to give it.
Yeah.
But, like,
we
the
have to
thing that was
so not
frustrating
give a
to
fuck
me-
about getting pussy, but we really, really want.
The thing that was frustrating to me was that there were like I can probably count. I don't know. There's just a number of guys that's a lie. I don't know. Let's say a few guys where I would like actively be like, I'm ready to throw it to you right now.
And you said that.
Yes.
You said I want to fuck you.
Yes.
And they were like,
and
what?
they turned like point blank, like turned it down.
Faggot.
And that was the frustrating thing because it's like someone who I had already like hooked up with and like that we had a rapport where like we would, but like maybe I wasn't the flavor of the night. Like, I don't know,
Dude.
but
And like,
it didn't make sense to me.
it's you have to understand like how wild that is for like me or Karizmatik to hear because it's like from our perspective, if I just saw you and never spoke, I was like, wow, I gotta be like, wow, this bitch is fucking like, she's some fine, like she must have just like pick of like whatever. So it's like when you find out someone like that isn't getting it,
There
it's
were-
like, what?
There were
You're
one
like,
or two
bitch
people.
has AIDS or something.
Well,
like
no,
that.
for
There
me,
were
it's an
one or
easy
two
answer, you just
people
don't want it.
and like in a period of my life where whatever, however many people, where I have said point blank, like, if you are down, I'm down. Like, if we see each other, we're out. Understand I'm down unless I tell you I'm not down tonight. And, like, they still didn't take advantage of it. So, like, I don't know if it was just because it was too accessible, but I don't think that that's that, like, wrong. If I'm like, hey, I think you're attractive. We hooked up that one time, and I enjoyed it. I'd do it again. Like, I'm down. Just, like, let me know.
So, remember my cousin that we had on an earlier episode?
Yeah.
He likes to chase.
Yeah.
So, like, if a girl just throws it at him, he's like, like she could be, like, high level sometimes, too. And he'd be like,
yeah.
You know what it is? It's almost like those animals that do the, like, defense mechanism where they, like, keel over and fake death, and then the predator's almost like, oh, like, the fuck's wrong with this thing? Like,
yeah, it's like, it must be diseased.
Yeah.
Like,
now, I gotta be honest, like, that, I like it if a chick's just like, hey, like, when we, like, exactly said, like, hey, we hooked up that one time, it was great, like, let's do it again. I'm like, fucking sick. Like,
I'm not made to feel pretty enough that I'm turning down advances. Like, I'm not, like, no, nobody ever makes me feel like that. So,
and, like, don't get me wrong, I'm not, like, doing this, like, all the time. I'm, like, kind of, like, selective with that.
Yeah.
So it's not like
So
at any given moment I'm like have 4 people who I've said that to. Like, I've been like, hey, I kind of like this one, and I'd like to continue with this one. I don't need to date you, but just know that I'm interested in that act that we did.
I have a question for you.
Are you usually saying that over the phone, or are you saying this in person?
In all forms. In every form possible.
So if you've ever said to a guy, the next time I see you, I'm going to fuck you, and he didn't say, why not tonight? He doesn't want to fuck you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now I know that.
like, if he's not like, what's taking this so long?
Because have you had before where, like, you've been talking shit with a chick like that, and then you're like, say it's like, today's Friday, like, say they're like, hey, yeah, and you're like, they're like, I'm not available tonight, but let's do, like, Sunday, and then you go jerk off, and you're just kind of immediately like, I got what I needed. Like literally, hundreds is arrogant to say, but, like, a lot of women over the years, I've definitely, like, all I needed was just the, like, if they weren't coming at that moment when I was like, and I was like ready, it was like, okay, forget about it. I just jerked off, and I was like, I forget about you, bitch.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not.
Dude, I've like Ubered people to me. I don't give a fuck. Yeah. Well, I don't.
Like, I love how shamelessly you are for that. Like
awesome.
Girls, ladies, why couldn't you, like, if a nigga broke, right? If a nigga broke, why he gotta show out? Why he gotta always have money?
It's not like I'm doing it all the time. I'm just like, yo, I don't have work tomorrow. I'm trying to do this.
I'm trying to get some
available.
dick. Are you coming? I got money. You got dick.
The crib open.
Yeah, I got
whatever.
Weed, I got good pussy.
Like, I don't know. Like, I'm into this.
Like,
I'm into this. Maybe dude, I'll order a pizza. Fucking let's go.
Yo, you speaking my language.
And still.
What? Even if I wasn't attracted to you, you'd get very close to getting some dick at that point. You know what I'm saying?
What am I cooking? I'm sorry.
Now you know what I know what I go through. Him and I play footsies all the time. He's got this long Nigerian legs. We both have these long dancer's legs, so we're just fucking doing synchronized slumming under the table.
Just be happy it's the legs you're used to.
I don't know, man.
Just be happy it's the legs you're used to.
So, like, this is like a pattern in my life where, like, I just feel like I've been abundantly honest all the time, and, like, I don't get that honesty in return until, to be fair, like, a little bit right before you.
I mean,
like, I had a little bit of priming before you.
How so?
Just with, like, a couple people that I, like, was messing with.
But like, how you saying priming? Like, how, like they obviously, like you mean like you got some like lessons from them, but like what? Like how so?
Like, I always had this mentality. I feel of like
how things should be.
Like, I don't want to babysit you, dude. Yeah. Like, I want to nurture, because that's the way that I am as a person. But I want to do it because I want to, not because I have to.
You want to be like 1950s housewife, but with like some power. You want to be the queen in the kingdom.
I don't care how I fucking sound, man. I like the idea of walking around the house in like cute underwear and shit and making food. But I'm not going to do that as a job. I still want to work.
Yeah.
But like, why can't I like both things? Like, fuck you. Why I'm not?
Well, you should
I'm
like
not
both
saying
things.
that anybody has to do one or the other.
I
but I like both.
I love a woman.
And I'm not saying one is better than the other.
All right, bitch,
I'm
yeah,
just
frame
saying
it at us. We
no,
hear you.
but like people need to fucking hear what I'm saying.
I love women that do stuff around the house with their booty out. I'm sorry, like
Bro.
you comfortable.
That's
is
just
me comfortable.
comfort. That's just
Yeah,
comfort.
You know what I'm
Whatever,
saying?
man. If you want to enjoy it, that's on you. I don't have to put makeup on for you. I'm doing that shit for me. Whatever. I
Booty
don't care.
Need makeup.
I don't
Yep.
care. Not once have you said put makeup on.
Yeah, no, I'll lick that shit off. Don't do that.
Yeah, I don't think so.
No, because I fucking take care of myself.
Well, yeah. Well, because I don't have to.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You want to look good.
And
for me,
and
so.
to my first point, whatever. I don't want to be your mom.
Yeah.
Like, just understand and hear me and like respect me when I'm talking. You know what I mean? But like, I don't want to have to make every fucking decision on my own because I have my own shit. I'm my own shit. Take responsibility for your relationship. You know what I mean? That's all I mean by like I like you need to lead some shit.
Yeah,
You know?
That's very fair.
And anything to move forward needs to go like not just 50-50 at the same time. Like that's just the way it is. I have been in so many relationships that haven't worked because I've been putting like fucking 90 and this person's putting barely even 10.
Yeah.
Like not even 10. And it's like why? You know, like why am I bothering? Like what's going to become of this?
When you said that, bitch.
No, like I'm obviously not talking about
sorry
you.
with you.
But like just being in that mindset of like when my last relationship and I broke up, my immediate reaction was like I said, I don't want to be with anyone who doesn't want to be with me.
Yeah.
So the couple of like situationships, I guess, that where
I like people that like me. Patrice 316.
Yo, gots to.
We're gonna start turning it into a Bible.
right, that needs to be merch. I like the couple of people who I kind of gave like a pass to are people who like I was like, oh, not like the dick's worth it, but like I don't know, the time that I have with them is worth it.
Game.
That time that I have with them is like worth it enough for me to put up with some bullshit.
Yeah.
But then my problem is like I never knew when the limit of bullshit was.
Well, and see, this is
You
why
know?
you're rare
Too nice.
because we've talked about this before too. All three of us, maybe on Kingz, but for sure off. But it's like like how women will they won't more often than not like have like fucking going on while if they're trying to look for a relationship, like they won't just have some dick to be like checking the slot or checking the box rather until they find that.
What do you mean?
Like okay, like so say you go on like a dating app or something, right? And you see people that are like, I'm just looking for a relationship. If they're just looking for a relationship, right? In theory, then they're not getting any dick until they find that relationship.
I guess.
You got to think,
Yeah.
at least on a human level, they still have a need for that. But you notice women won't go get some dick until they find the guy that they're gonna end up with. Whereas like if I'm a guy,
A lot of that is societal.
I haven't had that experience, but I can understand the sentiment.
Chick, but if she's not giving me play yet, like I could be fucking these other women until that's in play.
That's societal. Most of that's societal because they
really?
a lot of it. Yeah. Because a lot of women believe that like, a lot of guys put a lot of weight on their number or how many people they've slept with.
like look at them like
You know
a
what I'm
slut
saying?
kind of
Yeah.
thing.
So like I mean,
Yeah, for sure. Especially when you're
That now,
foreign.
in that regard, that's the only thing that I agree with, like the anti-slut shaming thing, where it's just like and it's weird, right? Because I remember it being in middle school, like there was chicks that were like, you know, getting around, but they weren't even really fucking. I remember we would be like, oh, they're a whore or whatever, and then like I remember like one older kid one time was like, he's like, why is she a whore? 'Cause she likes to fuck. She's like, that doesn't make her a whore, you idiot. And it was like. And it's like funny, like now I'm
Yeah.
like at a point where it's like yeah, I like fucking chicks that are like a little
Yeah.
slutty and shit, like so it's like it's weird.
that's
And
why I don't call it slutty. The most I would say is promiscuous. And
But what's weird is
I
like
think is even harsh.
no one ever said like I don't remember maybe, but I don't remember any kind of like propaganda or anyone saying like, hey, if a chick like is giving it up easy, she's a whore, like don't mess with her. Like it was just kind of like this weird unspoken thing for guys. So it's like I don't know how it gets like perpetuated outside of like maybe a religious sense.
Yeah,
but I
mean
didn't have that.
that's
growing up.
that's a situation that I was dealing a lot with people.
Because like literally in all those situations where people get killed for snitching, who's always there? hoes. You know what I mean? So like they don't be like, you know, they don't be putting people out there like that. Like they're trustworthy motherfuckers.
Yeah.
You know, so like first off, they like my biggest thing with people that you call hoes, they are as honest with themselves as gay people are.
I mean, here's another thing.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
You're presuming you're talking about like the average gay person, in which case
like living their sexual truth, like
a non-closeted gay person.
Yeah,
Sure.
I mean, like being out there fucking people is just as intimidating as I would think as a slut myself.
But I mean,
You know what I mean?
but there's a
Look
lot
down
of
upon it.
connotations with that word, and like honestly, it's still like kind of like, not that it like stings, but it kind of does like a little bit. I mean, I was in fucking high school for whatever reason. I had only ever been with one person, and it was like my boyfriend for like many years. And like for some reason, I would always like hear in these whisperings from like so many people, like, "Oh, Ani's a slut," or like blah blah blah. I'm like, whatever. Like, dude, what makes me a slut? Like, I don't understand. I'm faithful to my boyfriend. Like, I don't talk about like our sex life. Like, any of that shit, and I don't know what, like, who knows what he was doing on the other end, but like,
and immediately like started and like, word, I'm gonna try and talk to that bitch.
Well, you know what happened after? You know what happened after fucking high school? After everyone knew that we broke up, all the people who wanted to fucking slide into my DMs obviously did.
That right there.
This is why they went to Africa for slaves. Like, they weren't going to Europe.
I swear to God, in my head before I was like, it's fucking, I couldn't get it. I'm sitting here and I'm like, can you get it? And he goes and does it easily. And in my head, before I even asked him, I'm like, I swear to God, this is gonna look like some slavery shit. Where I'm like, hey, get over here and grind my weed for me.
Pussy.
And then after you're done, pick
How
my car.
dare you?
In my mind,
How are you supposed to protect me?
In my mind,
Don't worry, I'll be there.
the
So
police.
he will use what he knows of the jujitsus on these people, and then when he stops there, or if it's a bigger black guy, I will step in.
Can we start talking about me again?
Hang on. It's very simple. It's very simple. Him and I, if I had to fight Karizmatik, would never try to stand up fight him. Hell no. If it's stand up striking, he's winning that all day. Now he's probably going to win overall, but I have a better chance on the ground with my wrestling experience. So I take him to the ground, and while I'm down there, he thinks we're in fight mode. Then I start jerking him off. He gets hard. now,
At that point, he wins the fight.
Now,
okay, because now my balance is off, and I've lost so much blood in my brain.
he's rattled. He has a tactical error. Now I strike.
See, I was gonna say he fucked up when he said wrestling me, because as a guy of like,
Y'all
like
wild in right now.
No, because like he's like you're like what, featherweight?
No, I'm
Welterweight?
Yeah, I'm like well, I said around 170, 180.
Okay, and I'm easily heavyweight. So like
It's not a great match.
No, I know. So like he's like, the first thing I'm gonna do is take him to the ground. I sit on this motherfucker. It's over. Sorry, I just had to put that out there. Like literally, he could take me to the ground. All I have to do is maneuver enough to fall on top of him, and it's over.
But then I sap your energy on the ground, and your balls have come. So then he's powerless.
Oh my God.
And now I strike.
And if he has the misfortune of ending up anywhere near my sack, all that will be on his face. So you better watch out. All right.
My goodness.
I'm shameless. I'm sorry. That got away from you really
You were
fast.
I
saying?
have no idea. No idea.
It was just some male
We-
joke.
That's why I knew that was
we,
gonna
we had left off like just before you had got to me. So you had said that you had started picking up some of this mentality, although I don't really feel like
No,
you
I
gave a good
think
example
I honestly think
personally.
my whole life I've probably had this mentality because
think a
I
lot
was
of that
brought
was
up that
stronger.
way.
Okay.
Like it was always like my dad's
Be
like
the
head.
woman, let the man be the man.
No, yeah. I mean, like my dad never said that my mom doesn't have power, but he always was like, "This is my queen. She is number one. Everybody else is but she's gonna do inherently what he wants to do, because that's the way that their marriage is set up. But he always talks to her about it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not an abusive at all, oh, this is my way or no way at all. Like they always discuss
Everyone
everything.
understands their value within the relationship.
Yes.
I mean,
So,
my
like,
mom brings in more money, but my dad still has Like, the fucking
So like I've had
N-word.
I've had girlfriends in the past. Like there were certain times where I was doing bad, and like because sometimes at times where I dated girls of the same culture, like even though I don't have a problem with it, they literally like they'd make it look like I was paying. You know what I'm saying? To be like,
Because they care so much about your honor and stuff.
You know what I'm saying? Exactly. And like that meant a lot to me, but I really don't care about that type of stuff. But the fact that they cared enough to like make that gesture, I was like, yo, that's big.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's really, really big of you. I don't need that. I'm secure enough to be like, yo, like she's a boss. She pays. You know what I'm saying? I could be yo, why can't I be a sugar baby?
What
you know,
if
why
it
can't
was
I
like
be
your
a sugar
birthday or
baby?
something? You know what I mean? Like, who cares?
What if every day was my birthday? What if she
Right.
just made more? Who cares?
Who cares?
I'm not that exactly. I'm not that sensitive about the situation. So
Who am I to judge?
I'm doing a podcast.
someone really
Thank
want to
you.
come in on this podcast, yo. They want
Do you
they
need to
want
pause?
be interviewed real quick.
No, keep going.
They can interview real quick if they need an interview. You know. I mean, it's alright. But moseying right on down the thing. So what would you say the most influential relationships thus far has been?
Well, those two definitely had like a place for sure.
Yeah.
And then this one has like just definitely gone with like the mentality that I already had. You know what I mean?
Does this one feel more natural?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you've just been honest with me from the jump.
Right? It's very different, right?
From the jump.
Like when a guy
And like if
don't
I
say
needed
what
to
they-
prove him right or wrong, like he would give me the proof.
like don't
What are we
state
talking?
don't state what
About
they
you.
are.
Oh, mate.
Don't state what they are, but like some of the first things he probably told you about himself were some of his insecurities.
I'm not gonna say that on the fucking podcast.
Not to say what
He didn't
they
say
are.
what, he said whether
Wait,
or
what?
not that happened.
I said
What?
I said to not say what they are, but
Yeah.
probably some of the first things he told you about himself were his insecurities.
No.
No, I don't think so.
No,
No.
I come out pretty like if I trust a person, I come out pretty quickly.
No.
That's
But there's
that's
not
everything.
like you're not really insecure about shit.
Everyone is.
You know what I mean?
Everyone is.
I mean, like we I don't know. We just had like natural conversation.
Like no. I mean,
I don't know.
we spoke about earlier. Like before this podcast, we were talking about like I was talking about accepting people for like their flaws and something,
Mm-hmm.
and like a prima donna is like, how dare you challenge me? That's
Here's the
definitely
thing.
from a place
He-
of like,
he
yo,
doesn't-
you're not wrong.
He doesn't believe me when I say this, and I
But then he
literally
comes
talked
back.
to Bernie about this today, and she's like, "Oh, he can ask me." Like like she knows. When we first went out, I it was just like I hadn't been out like on a date in like 10 or 12 months, and I was like, I mean, it's not that I didn't want to go out on dates. I just didn't find anyone interesting, and I was like, well, I mean, he's cool. I like hanging out with him anyways, so like, why wouldn't I go out on a date with him? At
Cool.
first, I like didn't really care to or want to, and anyone in comedy,
But did you find me attractive?
like.
That was never debatable.
Wow, that sound effect.
That was
wow.
never debatable.
No, here's the thing. Like, and you can ask any one of my friends this. That's never been the first thing to me. It's
I mean,
like
well, yeah,
That's
it's not.
not the
It's
point.
not
That's
the
not the
first.
point we're
that's
talking about.
not the thing that like physical attraction is not what my first thing is. It's like, do I vibe with you? Like, do we laugh at the same things? Like, are we able to have a conversation about something other than like the general bullshit? And like in my interactions with you, I was able to do that. I don't know, but you were pretty upfront with me. Like, I don't know. So we went out, and then I don't know, a week or two went by, whatever it was. He wanted to go out again. I didn't want to go out again. Because I just like was not in a place. I was like, okay, I thought I was ready to like go out and do this shit,
By the
but
way,
I'm just not.
instantly, when she was like, I need a little time and stuff, instantly I went, I should have taken this bitch to a not as nice of a restaurant. Immediately, that was my first thought.
We had a fun time. It was
Oh,
a
we
good
had a great
date.
time.
It was, and I wasn't denying that. And I told you I had a good time, and I told you I
We
like
made out in
flirting
her
with you and
car
shit.
a little bit, and then nothing.
By a little bit, it was like 3 seconds.
That's it.
Okay.
What-
And then
what-
I went to a
hold on,
party
hold on,
after
hold on, hold on.
with you.
What-
Okay.
What is the fucking difference, yo?
Okay. So let me finish.
3
So-
seconds, 8 minutes.
Whatever. Anyways, so I just like I felt like I wasn't. There was a lot of shit going on in my life, and I just was not ready to like take on entertaining anybody else but myself. I was like, if I'm not good, I'm not gonna be able to be good with anyone else in any degree.
Women are really good at that.
Are they? I don't
Better
feel like
than
they
us.
are. I mean,
feel like
maybe,
y'all
but
are.
maybe, but I that's just how I felt. Anyways, But then time went by, and then like you guys had me on the podcast or whatever, and I then didn't want to be unprofessional. You know what I mean? And I didn't want it to. I liked doing podcasts with you guys. I just wanted to like have that rapport.
I just want to do more podcasts.
And whatever, maybe that was like naive.
She literally was like, I don't want people to think I fucked my way onto the podcast.
I know.
And I was like,
Yeah,
okay,
fuck that shit.
And we didn't do anything until after you had already told me I was a host. Like, honest to God. I'm not trying to prove anything.
No.
I'm not trying to prove anything, but it was just annoying to me that like that's just the perception.
Literally the strength of pussy you must have, the strength of pussy you must have to literally give it to this man and have this man convince me to do shit.
What?
Do you understand what I'm saying, Irish? Mm-hmm. You don't get what I'm saying?
I mean, I do, but on what?
I'm just saying, like, that would be some powerful pussy. For you to fuck this man and I start doing shit. Like, can you imagine? Like, how does that translate? Like, that just... So, like, that's my only point right there.
Okay, fine. But what does that have to do with anything?
You just saying you didn't want to say that you fucked your way onto this show.
I didn't.
How does you fucking this man make me do something? Yeah, that's some powerful pussy. So take the compliment if that's what they think. Fuck it.
Thank you, I guess.
Expert level pussy. Has your dick been able to do anything like that?
What, convince women to do shit?
Has your dick... you fuck one bitch, right? And because you fuck that bitch, her best friend starts doing shit for you.
Kinda, yeah.
What? Yo, y'all belong together. Like that.
Wait. What do you mean? Nothing sexual in terms of the friend doing stuff for you?
No, but like she starts doing favors for you and shit.
Yeah, that could just be that they're a nice friend. I don't know. Like, I don't want to necessarily.
Like she run an errand for you real quick.
Yeah.
This dude got some. I see why you wouldn't.
I
see why you.
I mean, technically, like Stacy, you've met before. Like, she was my ex's like best friend at one point.
Yeah, but you guys are friends though.
Yeah, but like him dicking his ex down made them friends.
I guess.
Powerful dick.
I guess.
Yup. Because even when they broke up, she didn't take the other person's side. She still became friends with him.
Yeah, but it was like the situation. Anyways.
You and your entanglements. Go ahead.
You keep saying go ahead, but I'm waiting for you. I don't know where else do you want me to go with that.
Talk more about how great I am.
No, I mean like there's no. I don't need to like do that.
Well, I mean,
you said that before our relationship, you sort of gained some of these insights and stuff, and not for nothing, it was kind of a very girl response. I didn't really get any specifics of like I learned this from that. But
yeah,
like,
where'd you get it from?
Well, I mean the big. I mean, my parents. That's just. I thought I answered
mainly
that.
Your parents, okay.
Mainly my parents.
You had
and
made
like,
it sound like a couple of people before me, like for some reason, like you. Had
well, they were just dishonest with me, like from the jump, and like you weren't.
But what was you? I guess what I'm saying is you made it sound like you had kind of like got like 25% of the way to this, and I'm just throwing out a number.
Well, yeah, like for instance, in my last relationship, when that ended, and I had this like epiphany, I guess you could call it, of like I don't want to be with anyone who doesn't want to be with me. I was just kind of like reflecting back on all those people who were just I put so much effort in. Yeah, it was just a lot of like self-reflection. Like it was like going to therapy, and like it was like just looking at the patterns and behaviors and like things that I was engaging in, like socially, and like all that kind of stuff, and like where I was putting my energy, and like what was making me happy, and like what was superficially making me happy. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And I think like
we're pseudo therapists.
I allowed a lot of like other like
we're not licensed.
Not even like
some dick.
I'm not attributing this to you guys.
I'm sorry.
We didn't say we're attributing it to ourselves.
Yep.
We said at the beginning of this podcast we're all narcissists.
Yeah. I don't know. I just think everybody goes through that kind of like transformation at some point in their life where they're like,
not everyone.
Well, I don't know. Hopefully everyone does 35%. At some point. But I just
gotta think, because even like, you know, we've listened to like like Philip with the episodes with Vaughn's on, there's that one guy who's like, wow, he was like, you know, Patrice, your girl was saying how she gets the guy's perspective, and he's like, I wish my girl would get that. And immediately him and Dante were like, They're like, no.
I had to explain that to my
don't
best
wish
friend
your girl's
tonight.
gonna get it. Like, she ain't gonna get it unless you teach it to her, dog.
Here's
So,
the thing. It's because we're brought up a certain way. You know what I
Yes.
mean?
Yeah.
And I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm an artist. It's a little corny, but I feel like artists inherently have an extra step up with an ability to like look beyond like the norm.
Yeah.
So it's easier for you to take in that type of knowledge. And
See, the only thing I would fight on is that I found it in people that weren't artists, but I would say it's just a sense of curiosity. Artists really do explore. We really do go to depths to explore our curiosities and what intrigue us more so than other people. But there are people that naturally gravitate towards curiosity, and those people usually find their ways. That
Curiosity killed the cat.
Yeah,
That's why you'd even see like those old like classic tropes of like a conflict where I can't even think of a specific movie, but like you go through and they get to some object or whatever, and they're like, we have to destroy it, and then like the evil person's like, yes, but at the same time as like a archaeologist or whatever, like you want to see what it can kind of do, and then the guy's like, yeah, kinda.
Yeah. So I was just thinking of a weird analogy right now, and I don't know why it came up this way in my head, but. I was thinking that why are guys always related to dogs and girls? We basically called it their vagina pussy, and we're often related to them as cats. And like, if you're really sitting down, which is the smarter of the two animals?
isn't it my way?
It's whatever. I just started that. It's whatever way.
Oh, here you
If
go.
she wants
No,
it,
you
she's the
take
queen.
it.
You're the queen.
You take it.
See how she take it out of the black man's hand.
I thought we were going in our old
Hey,
rotation.
Hey, my thing is that, as a man, if I decided to pass it to her, I decided to pass it to her. So there's no
You
shame in
decided
that.
that society forced you to decide. I don't know.
Her stating her opinion and me deciding to appreciate that opinion forced me to hand it to her. I
I'm
decided
just trying to look
appreciate
out
that
for my
opinion.
friend's weed well-being.
No, motherfucker, just know I'm always in the position of power, motherfucker. I ain't no slave. We
Facts.
traded him. I'm an asshole.
You're like, have you seen me? I'm the one that caught them.
I was the motherfucker that caught him. I wasn't the one that chased him down. I was just the one waiting at the end to hit him with my chest. Bastard.
Yeah.
He got away with it. You know why?
Why?
I'm prettier than this man.
Yes, I is. Yes, I is.
Now you're trying to compensate
Yeah,
for
I
all
am.
the drops.
Yeah.
What happened?
I don't know. Nothing. You're fine, bitch. Still plugged in.
No, I hear what she hears.
Yeah.
But anyways, so
Oh,
I guess that's right about where your journey has come up to thus far.
yeah.
So what?
Put your
What?
headphones on and hear it, dude.
Well, I'm not the one that's fidgeting around with my feet and fucking with stuff.
But before we get too caught up into that stuff, woo, there you
Oh,
go.
Thank you.
Ani big bootied the lines.
Yeah, my bad.
She twerked on the
Fidgeting
line.
around with her feet.
She twerking with the lines. Hey, I
twerk,
just said she
twerk,
twerked. Let her have
twerk,
that moment, okay?
twerk,
She's twerked,
twerk,
okay?
twerk.
Twerked all over that shit. I see you, girl.
So what magical things do you think that you picked up that have brought you from right art dating to now?
I think I just wasn't going to allow like dishonesty. Like I just was very upfront with like, hey, this is what I'm looking for. If like you're not into that, then like just let me know. Like I'm not offended. I'm cool if this is a one-time thing, but like do not waste my time.
I'm gonna play devil's advocate with that. I think you stumbled into this level of honesty. I don't think you were expecting it. I don't think you were
stumbled
you even
into
knew
it, but not
existed.
because of him or not because of comedy. It's because life, like externally, because of situations happening in my life, I had no choice but to be like that in order to survive. Like honestly, I'm like I can't do comedy if I'm living under my parents' roof. Like honestly, you know what I mean? And I had a very abrupt like exit, and like that kind of like snowballed a lot of other things. So like I can't attribute. I had to be that honest up front because I'm like I need to do this thing that's major. You know?
Yeah, and you went through a few other changes that were drastic at the same time that I think kind of helped things along at the same. I mean, but I just wanted to play the devil's advocate to that because sometimes you don't know what you need until it happens. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, like I would say it's like it was like a nice like refreshing surprise. Even if it sounds harsh, it's like I would rather someone be that harsh and like be their true self. There's a difference in being harsh and being your true self and then being harsh just to be a dickhead. Yep. You know what I mean? And like you're, at least with me, I can't speak for other people, but like at least with me, like you're never like purposely trying to be a dickhead. You're like, I'm just gonna be honest with you right now. Like, and I would prefer that so I don't look like a fool. You know what I mean? Like, what's the word that for years I didn't know was the right word?
Oh, myriad.
Myriad. Yeah.
You thought it was merit.
Yeah. No one corrected me, like in my whole entire life.
Immediately I stopped this bitch. I was like, what the fuck did you just say? A merit of things?
You're wrong.
And like, how am I supposed to know that's wrong if nobody told me it was wrong?
Pretty girl syndrome.
Yep.
That's bullshit. That's my growth.
Oh, also on my end as well. I mean, just because they're pretty doesn't mean they're always wrong.
Of course not.
Sure.
Yo, I'm just can I say, because I've realized
I got so mad just now.
He agreed with you, bitch. Calm down. You know what? Change your opinion.
The fuck that, you're always wrong, motherfucker. Like I'm sitting here thinking that like a lot of people are like, she's pretty. What could her opinion be? And like, just because I've witnessed it, you know what I'm saying? And like, even at times, sometimes I definitely can be the overly confident type at times. And like that's why I only surround myself with people that will kind of bitch me out. Yeah. So yeah, I don't need your help with my confidence.
Right.
But
I do need you to like support it to a certain degree, because if you're with someone who's like negative for your like mental, that's gonna affect your confidence.
I just want to point out two things. What? One, you guys have been passing that back and forth and not to me.
No, we haven't.
I swear to God, it's happened.
His white privilege.
I watched him pass it to you once, and you passed it.
Oh, I was going the old order.
Yeah. Secondly, and this is definitely a sign, I ripped off this excess paper at the end of the joint, and it slid over this and perfectly highlights the word king. Packing.
Dude.
Oh, shout out to Vaden Jones.
It's a sign, dude. We're gods, and we've got big dicks. Well, not you, but we do.
I mean, she might have a big she dick.
His a bit more than mine.
She might have a big she dick. You don't know.
Yeah.
She's got big dick energy.
Hell yeah, yo.
I absolutely do. I've like I always just grew up that way. I don't know. Entertainer.
I once walked to a room and I was like, yo, because like people tend to tell me that I have big dick energy, and like I walked to a room like it was only women and me. Yeah. I was like, yo, do I have big dick energy? And unanimously they were like, yes.
Oh, dude.
I was like, wait.
They're like, why would you ask?
You met my dad.
I was like, why? And like I called out some other guys in the room, and they're like, you never look like you're trying.
Yeah. Like you've met my dad, and like he walks into a room and he just exudes like fucking boss behavior. You know what I mean?
Yeah, your dad comes into a room like he's setting up for a torture scene. Like he just walks in casually, gets his chair right.
Yeah. Everything needs to adjust to him.
Yeah. All comfortable.
He is not adjusting his body. The earth needs to adjust to him.
He pulls out his cigars, but he like puts them on the table.
Facts.
And then he's like, and then he like pulls one of them out and gets them all lit, and then he just sits.
And then he like throws you a one-liner.
Like, so you gonna tell me the information I need to fuck?
Yeah, some shit like that. And so like imagine growing up with that energy. I'm like, oh, I want that energy. Like I that's respect.
See,
you know what I mean?
The funniest thing your dad said so far was we were in her basement looking at stuff, and just me and her, and he had the heavy bag hanging down there. And I think he said he's like never even used it.
Oh, don't say this on air. Don't say this on air.
It's so funny. It's fine.
Then let me tell this.
No, it's funny. It was a joke. It was like you were asking about it when we came upstairs. And you're like maybe we'll take that or something, and then you were like. It was like your mom was like, he came in and he was like, what are you guys talking about? And your mom was like, oh, the heavy bag. And she was like, why did you?
The punching bag.
The punching bag. She's like, why did you even get that? And he was like, so I don't hit you.
Yeah. And to be like, what's hilarious is obviously he's never hit my mom. Yeah. But he's also never used the bag. He just one day was mad and bought it.
He just beats the shit out of your mom.
And installed it. It's like fucking heavy. It's hanging from a beam. Like there was effort put into it. Like what was he mad about? I'm like, ooh.
Whatever it was, he was like, next time
going on.
Whatever it was, he was like, next time I get this mad, I'm fucking this thing up. And she never did it again.
Like, I don't know. I think obviously he was joking. But still, it was funny.
I mean, obviously joking, not obviously joking. As long as you didn't fucking hit her, I think you're good.
Never.
I think you're fucking good. Even if it was in all honesty, bro, you found a way around it.
Yeah.
I congratulate you. What the fuck?
I know. My dad's a boss. He's pretty cool.
He sounds pretty cool. I feel like I'm this odd duality as well. Where
I hope he doesn't think I'm a hoe bag. He probably doesn't. I don't know. Whatever. Go on.
I'm in this weird duality where like in my culture I'm like a young man, so like they can still ask me to like possibly run errands with them, but like I've also cultivated my personality in a way that like nobody dare like just start a rogue argument with me.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So like it's
Don't
like
you like that though? Like it's like, and I say this to her all the time. I'm like you like I want her to be honest, but if you're gonna just when you talk at me, and again it sounds harsh on the surface level, but it's like there needs to be a purpose to it. Like run it through a self filter and basically ask yourself, is what I'm gonna ask like righteous?
And like here's the thing that this is a way that it sounds a little bit less harsh when it comes to like from a female perspective. It's like imagine if and I know you're gonna laugh when I say this. Imagine if you're doing something and you just need this person to take care of this thing, and you're like, hey, babe, take care of this one thing for me. I'm doing this thing. I don't need to be bothered. And then like every 5 seconds they ask you how to do the thing. It's like you don't want to babysit them. You don't.
What you do to me when
go
I'm trying to
through,
play video games.
figure it out yourself. And then if you can't figure it out, come to me. And I know that's why you were gonna laugh about that. But still, like I think women can relate to that for sure.
Yeah, because that's the thing. It's like
With men.
as a guy, it's like we need that time to like that you're just not all up in our shit. And it's like, you know, if you give me
If there's too many voices in a dude's head, he goes nuts.
Yes. And if you give me a couple hours
true.
of just playing video games with my friends,
Women
you're
can do
not-
that better.
or you know, I get like just a couple hours of you're not fucking bothering me. I don't have to constantly take the headset off and be like, what's going on? I'm gonna be happy, and then I'm gonna have an overabundance of happy because our happiness as a guy is so much simpler than y'all's. And so when I have that abundance of happiness, I go, cool. You left me alone for X amount of time, so I could be happy. So now I'm gonna figure out how to make you a way, way more complicated creature. How to be happy.
yeah.
I think you do that.
Yeah.
Sometimes I
think
get
it's
mad.
a fair trade-off.
Yeah, sometimes you get mad, but it almost circles back to what he said earlier too, where it's not always about what you want, it's what you need.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes I think you go a little overboard.
You know, sometimes if you need one dose of medicine, I give you 2.
And I think this is just a natural, culling point for this, for this Kingz podcast.
I know we should. This is where I wanted to wait for this to soon start that Queen's advice. So maybe after this we'll start that.
Let's do it. I mean, definitely. Queen's advice. Be ready for it. Be on the lookout.
Yeah.
And we want to thank you for joining us for another special episode of Kingz Podcast Origin Edition. This is Moush. And as always, I've been yours truly, Karizmatik.
Irish O'Neil. Nice game.
Hitting the blunt, never shunt.
I be up all night. May your bitch showing love all night.